Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the English Story Podcast, where we bring you interesting stories from around the English-speaking world to help you improve your English. I'm Emily, and with me, as always, is John.
Hello, everyone. We're so glad you could join us today. Every week, we take you through a story to help you learn important vocabulary and grammar. Today, we're focusing on something that you'll use a lot in English, the present perfect continuous tense. It's really useful when talking about actions that started in the past and are still happening now.
That's right, John. The present perfect continuous tense is key for talking about ongoing actions and their duration. In this episode, we'll hear a story about Maria, who recently moved to Toronto for a new job. We'll look at how the present perfect continuous tense is used in the story, and discuss how you can use it to talk about your own experiences.
We'll also break down the structure of the present perfect continuous tense, explain when to use it, and give you plenty of examples to help you practice. By the end of this episode, you'll have a clear understanding of how to form and use this tense in your conversations.
That's the plan. So let's get started with Maria's story. As you listen, try to notice how we talk about actions that Maria started in the past and that are still happening today. It's a great way to hear the present perfect continuous tense in action. Here's Maria's story. She recently moved from Mexico to Toronto for a new job at a tech company. Let's hear about her experiences adjusting to life in a new city and starting a new role.
Maria moved to Toronto 6 months ago after getting a job at a large tech company. Since then, she has been adjusting to her new life in Canada. She has been working at her new job for 6 months now, and even though it's been challenging at times, she loves the experience. At the company, Maria has been learning a lot about new software and project management. She leads a small team, and together they have been working on a major project for the last 3 months. The project is critical to the company, so Maria has been spending a lot of time making sure everything goes smoothly. Every day, Maria has been meeting with her team to discuss their progress and address any issues. It's a demanding role, but she feels like she has been growing professionally ever since she took the job. In addition to her work, Maria has been taking English classes on weekends to improve her language skills, which helps her communicate better with her colleagues. Outside of work, Maria has been exploring Toronto. She loves the city's diversity, its vibrant neighborhoods, and the food scene. Every weekend, she has been discovering new places to visit, whether it's a park, a museum, or a new restaurant. Maria feels proud of how far she has come since moving to Toronto, and she's excited about what the future holds.
That was a fantastic story, Emily. Maria's new job and life in Toronto sound exciting, and it's a great way to introduce the present perfect continuous tense. But before we dive into the grammar, let's discuss some of the vocabulary used in the story.
Absolutely. Let's start with the word adjusting. Maria has been adjusting to her new life in Toronto. Adjusting means getting used to a new situation or environment. When you move to a new country or start a new job, you often need time to adjust.
Another important word is spending. Maria has been spending a lot of time on her project. Spending time means using your time to do something, like working on a task or project.
There's also progress. Maria meets with her team to discuss their progress. Progress refers to how far along you are in completing something. In her case, it's about how much they've completed on the project.
Good one, Emily. Let's not forget growing. Maria feels like she has been growing professionally. Growing in this context means improving or developing, especially in terms of her skills and career.
And finally, there's exploring. Maria has been exploring Toronto, which means she's been discovering and learning more about the city by visiting new places.
These are all useful words when talking about adjusting to a new job or life in a new city. Now that we've covered the vocabulary, let's move on to the grammar focus, understanding the present perfect continuous tense.
The present perfect continuous tense is a great tool when you want to talk about actions that started in the past and are still happening now. It's especially useful when you want to emphasize the duration or ongoing nature of an action.
Exactly. To form the present perfect continuous tense, we use has been or have been plus the ing form of the verb. It looks like this. Has, have, use has with he, she, it, or singular nouns. For example, Maria has been learning. Use have with I, you, we, they, or plural nouns. For example, they have been working. Been, this part never changes. It's always been. Verb plus ni adding to the main verb. For example, learning, working, exploring.
That's right, John. In Maria's story, we said, she has been working at her new job for 6 months. This tells us that Maria started working at her job 6 months ago, and she's still working there now. The present perfect continuous emphasizes that the action is ongoing.
And here's another example. Maria has been taking English classes. This shows that Maria started her classes in the past, and she's still taking them now. The present perfect continuous is a great way to show that an action hasn't finished yet.
Let's talk about when we use this tense. There are 3 main situations where the present perfect continuous tense is most useful. 1. To describe actions that started in the past and are still happening now. Example: Maria has been working at the company for 6 months. 2. To emphasize the duration of an ongoing action. Example: they have been working on the project for 3 months. 3. To talk about recently finished actions that have an effect on the present. Example: Maria has been spending a lot of time preparing for the big project. Even if she's done for now, the action has an effect on the present.
Those are the key uses. You'll often hear the present perfect continuous tense with time expressions like for, since, lately, and recently. These help indicate how long an action has been happening or when it started. For, Maria has been working at her job for 6 months. Since, she has been taking English classes since January. Lately, recently, Maria has been exploring the city lately.
It's also important to note that we don't use the present perfect continuous tense with stative verbs. Verbs that describe states rather than actions, like know, believe, or own. So you wouldn't say, I have been knowing her for years. Instead, you'd say, I have known her for years. Let's practice forming the present perfect continuous tense. I'll give you a sentence in the simple present and you can change it to the present perfect continuous. Ready? Let's begin. A simple present. Maria works at the company. Present perfect continuous. Maria has been working at the company. Simple present. She learns new software every day. Present perfect continuous. She has been learning new software every day. Simple present. They work on a project together. Present perfect continuous. They have been working on a project together. Simple present. She takes English classes. Present perfect continuous. She has been taking English classes. Simple present. Maria explores the city. Present perfect continuous. Maria has been exploring the city.
Great work! Using the present perfect continuous tense helps make it clear that the actions started in the past and are still happening now. It's all about showing the ongoing nature of an action.
Now that we've practiced forming the present perfect continuous tense, let's talk about different situations where you might use it.
The first situation is when you want to talk about actions that started in the past and are still happening now. For example, if you've been learning English for a few years, you'd say, I have been learning English for 3 years.
Another situation is when you want to emphasize how long an action has been happening. For instance, if you've been waiting for the bus for 20 minutes, you could say, I have been waiting for the bus for 20 minutes.
You can also use it to describe actions that recently finished but still affect the present. For example, I'm tired because I have been working all day. The action of working may have just finished, but the effect, being tired, is still relevant now.
And of course, the present perfect continuous tense is great for describing habits or activities that have been happening over a period of time. For example, lately I have been reading a lot of books.
It's a very flexible tense and really helps convey the idea that something is still ongoing or relevant now. Let's do a quick recap.
Today we talked about the present perfect continuous tense, which is used to describe actions that started in the past and are still happening now, or actions that have recently finished but are connected to the present. We learned that the structure is has-have been, plus verb plus ing. And it's perfect for talking about ongoing activities or the duration of something.
We also covered some great workplace vocabulary from Maria's story, like adjusting, spending, progress, and growing. These are all useful words when talking about work or settling into a new place.
The key takeaway is that the present perfect continuous tense is incredibly useful when you want to focus on actions that are still happening or have just recently finished. It's one of those tenses that really brings clarity to your communication.
We hope this episode helped you feel more confident using the present perfect continuous tense in your own conversations. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast so you never miss an episode. We'd love to hear from you. Leave us a comment or review and let us know what topics you'd like us to cover in the future.
Thanks for joining us today. Keep practicing, and remember, the more you use these grammar points, the more natural they'll become.
Until next time, happy learning.
Goodbye, everyone. See you next time on the English Story Podcast.